just quickly, had to ask the update. What's Spider-Man 4? Where's that at?
Sony is definitely making Spider-Man 4 with Amy Pascal as the chairwoman of Columbia Pictures leading the charge, and I'm hoping they'll come to me first as the director. I know that there's a screenwriter writing the script, but either way, I'm hoping to be one of the producers on the picture, and I'm very excited to read the script.
Do you want to push me away?
Why would I want to push you away? I love you.
You knew this was coming, Pete.
Well, right now we're working on it, and you know, everybody's intention is to get it out for 2011. We're totally in process in terms of the development of the story, and you know, there's really good stuff there, and you know, like anything, it's a process, and you know, we're just in the midst of the process, and we have a lot of great stuff in terms of story and script, and we're just trying to dial it in and get it ready as quickly as possible. And of course, these movies are, you know, a very big undertaking and take a lot more time than, you know, a drama or something, you know, straightforward, just, you know, prep in however many, 10, 12 weeks, go shoot it for 10 weeks and post it and you're done. I mean, it's massive. It's several times a regular film in that way.
What's happening?
I don't know.
We've all done terrible things to each other, but we have to forgive each other, or everything we ever were will mean nothing.
I need your help. I have to stop it.
Spider-Man, I love that people are having a collective escapist experience in mass. You know, that's fun. It's fun to be a part of that joy for people.
Do you sneak into the back of the theaters and watch them have fun?
I have. I remember on the first Spider-Man, a bunch of us like took a bus and rode around and went to a couple of theaters and watched for, you know, pieces of the film. And yeah, it's fun. It was fun to do that, and it's been fun to do that. You know, and also the experiences I've had with brothers, where they're both substantial, but you know, this in a different way. You know, all of that stuff is certainly satisfying. Yeah.
And does doing the two pictures in between prepare you to jump back into the giant machinery of doing a fourth movie?
Yeah, it's great. And
does it change your perspective? Is it different going in, or?
Well, it's always different. I mean,
so.
You know, each movie's different. We evolve as people. All of that. At the same time, there are certain dynamics and relationships that have continuity. You know, Sam and myself, Sam Raimi, the director, and we have a certain banter or dynamic that's fun and funny, and I love collaborating with him. So there's some familiarity that I really love, and also I like the new. And okay, how do we press this? How do we make it more exciting, more fun? How do we evolve the character and make it a rich story? And how do I make it interesting for myself to go do something else? You know, so yeah, I appreciate that too. I have fun with those movies. I really do. You know.
Word on the streets is we might see a vampire antagonist in the next Spider-Man film.
What? I don't know anything about that. I guess they're very appealing, like the best of villains. They have some positive qualities. That is, they can be very sexy and alluring, and the way in which they attack you is very sensual. It's almost something you desire. You know, the bat, we're all scared of bats. Ooh. So that's kind of cool. Some vampire stories go there and some don't, obviously. But also I like the fact that there's a cure against them in some of the lore, like garlic or the cross. That's really interesting, that there's a way to stop them. There's a whole story that can be made with all those elements. So it's got some real rules and laws. And that you can be turned into one of them is interesting also. It's got a lot of enticing qualities for a storyteller or an audience.
Are you to be here with this movie at Sundance?
I'm very excited. I love Sundance. I've been here several times over the years, and I love it. It's always a blast. I love the energy here.
You know, I spoke to Elizabeth Banks yesterday because she has another movie here, and I said, you know what, it just hit me that Betty Brant and Peter Parker finally had a family.
That's funny. Yeah, yeah. We've done a lot of movies together. It's pretty funny. Me and Elizabeth. I'm counting them in my head now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we've done 5 together.
That's a good record. One last question. What do you think of Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man? How excited are you to see that movie?
I'm really excited. I think Mark Webb's an exciting filmmaker, and Andrew's a great actor. I've been a fan of his. I saw Boy A, which I loved quite a bit ago, not quite a while, but a bit ago, and of course Social Network, and I saw him in something else. I'm blanking, but I'm a fan. I'm excited to see what they do.
Sam Raimi has been talking about the Spider-Man 4 movie.
He sure has, hasn't he? Yeah.
And you are gonna be.
You say that. You say that like it became a fact. You were gonna be this.
You were gonna be. But
according
it didn't happen,
to who? According to bullshit you read on the World Wide Web of bullshit. No, that was a fanboy thing that started. Do you know Sam Raimi never sent like an email or a phone call saying, "Hey Bruce, prepping Spider-Man 4.
Yeah.
What do you think about Mysterio?" That conversation never happened. So there's no way I could jump on board that and answer your what if question.
All right.
Because isn't Jake Gyllenhaal, isn't dreaming Jake Gyllenhaal, isn't he Mysterio anyway?
He's pretty awesome.
He can dance. I'll bet he's awesome. And now he can go back to his little darling indies again. Right? Am I right? Yeah. I bought him a couple indies. I'll do your fucking superhero movie. Fine. I'm Mysterio. Okay, what's my little indie darling? What's next? Theater, excuse me. Even better than indie darling.
Snap.
I'm going back to make no money at all.
Broadway, baby.
I'm overcharged for this superhero thing. I can go make no money at all on a 40-year-old play. I'm like Boys in the Band. You know? Yeah. Okay, got it.
You mentioned Spider-Man, which was, for a variety of reasons, is now coming to us in a different incarnation. Safe to say that you have no part then in this one. They haven't. It's not the same script that they're working with for this new one.
There wasn't really a script, as far as I knew. There were some pages.
Okay.
Sam was very much Sam Raimi, and he was very open about that. Was very much a work in progress. I have not had another conversation. Sam called me to tell me,
right.
As far as he was concerned, it was off. And that was in, I don't know, May or April or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But I have no idea what's happening with it, although it's obvious, that was going to be a lot of money to make. That's a big outlay.
And he gets the news that he's going to get a little brother. And he's not too pleased that he's going to have to share the love. And
if you sign up to be a superhero, the point is you have to fight other superheroes, right? And as well as make friends and hold hands, and join ensembles, as it were.
He's suspicious of him that he's like a little man who's got an agenda and running stuff. And would like to expose him.
Do boys, they're not that old yet, do they get scared or do they know?
No, my children, my son, one of them, my children, is he's a very big Venom fan, but he's also a very big Marvel fan altogether. And my other child, they are a massive, for whatever reason, Spider-Man fan, which is a tremendous disappointment. But at the same time, that's what life is sometimes. You present something to them and they're like, what do you think of this? And they prefer Spider-Man.
Tom's a blast. He's been great, very easy to work with, but I admire his creativity. He's really imaginative and funny, and I just think that he's found such a good tone for this movie.
He's just like a nice dude, we all went out to dinner. He's just like a fun, nice, really chill actor.
There's so much power. Would that tempt you to have that much power?
No. I have it when I go to work, so I get to play with it, and in this character, not in real life, but but you still get to play and fantasize and see it come to life on a screen, and I think that's where it belongs. You can see the damage that it's caused.
Tremendously.
Yeah, too much perhaps. Yeah.
It's his eyes. I mean, those eyes are so powerful. He doesn't really have to do much, you know. And whatever his own life experiences has given him, it's given him such a darkness that he can tap into. But also he can be really funny too. So he has a wealth of whatever's inside of him. He has a wealth of, and that as soon as you look in his eyes, you feel it all. And like handle it in a childish way, and then sometimes in a very adult way. He just embodied both things and so well.
What really worked is the fact that it's not over-sentimental cliche, even in the case of your character who's suffering from an extreme medical condition. The tone is quite sober, and I think that works very well. It makes it very relatable. Did you enjoy that aspect?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about Sam, because he's such a phenomenal writer. There's very little you ever want to change, and that the character was pretty much fully formed on the page, you know what I mean?
Because this clearly has something happening to him that's not of this earth. Powers. There is an uncertainty there of what he's capable of. His powers get stronger.
There's this juxtaposition of the dark and the light, and somehow the way they intersect ends up being kind of a perfect mixture.
Characters with a little bit more diverse characteristics and ethical questionable ethics, as it were, as opposed to bad. And these two have a large smorgasbord of options which are diverse when it comes to making choices. So I enjoyed that very much.
To have that responsibility and know that you have these powers, and so I don't know, what she expects will happen to him, but I think that it's not a shocker that he needs to be somewhere else.
It's a funny movie. It's relatable, and it's relatable in a real world way, but it's demonstrated through fantasy, through a really fun idea.
I mean, everyone's performance in this movie is really good, and that's the sign of a good movie, where you're not like, God, he was amazing, or she blew me away. It's like, when something's good, you're just like, oh, this movie's so good, and usually not one performance stands out as like, the star, and I feel like this movie's it's a solid movie, and everyone's great.
And everybody was talking about how much they enjoyed working with you. How much do you enjoy it, like a good game of sports, to be surrounded by good actors, because it does elevate the quality of acting altogether?
I love it. I mean, I really, I think this is, maybe one of the best jobs you could have. But when you get to have this job and you get to go in the ring, so to speak, with someone like...
I was impressed with Sam. Wanted to be a part of it, and he could have written anything on that page, and I would have wanted to be a part of it, because I just admire him so much as a filmmaker.
Sam is very particular about his image of what's, he has really a well-formed image of what he wants to do. And so I just roll with that and trust.
Aesthetic, or what he's been inspired by, and I think that he does it in a really original way. So, but it does harken back to those movies when I was little, like, ooh, is this too scary for me to watch? But it's totally okay for me to watch. So you can, as a kid, watch it, but also adults are getting a lot out of it too, and are very moved.
I think working closely with Tobey Maguire, sharing ideas with him, finding truths about moments. Tobey pulling me back a little when I would try and take something too far, and me recognizing, yeah, that more subtle approach will work better here. So learning from really, really good actors and the entire crew.
Hey there guys, John Campea here. I'm the senior editor of AMC Entertainment Script to Screen, and I've been doing some thinking about this whole Spider-Man issue. Now, of course, the other day, Sony drops the bomb on everybody. It shocked the movie fan world, that Spider-Man 4 has been canceled. Probably nobody more surprised than John Malkovich, who just like the day before was on Italian TV talking about how he's going to be the Vulture. Well, so much for that. And there's been a lot of reaction. When people are passionate about a particular film, there's going to be a lot of reaction, and some passionate reaction, and there has been a lot of reaction. And the other day we did a little bit of video where I got the opinions of some of the other online film pundits about what they thought of it, and they all made some wonderful, fantastic points. And I've had a few people ask me, well, what's my opinion on this? Well, here's what I think. And please remember, I say this as somebody who is a big fan of the Spider-Man series, although I really disliked Spider-Man 3, but a big fan of the Spider-Man series, and as a big fan of Sam Raimi, okay? So remember, keep that in mind. Big fan of Sam Raimi, big fan of the Spider-Man series, all right? I think Sam Raimi leaving the Spider-Man franchise is probably the best thing in the world for both Sam Raimi and for the Spider-Man series. And here's the basic reason why. Sam Raimi is, when you look at all of his films, he's a creative genius. I mean, he is so creative. And I think when you stick any really creative person like Sam Raimi on the exact same project for 10 years, remember, he spent a better part of 10 years of his life on Spider-Man. I think anybody can become creatively tapped. And honestly, when I look at the Spider-Man films, I see a guy who is getting creatively tapped because he was still stuck in that same universe. I think a guy like Sam Raimi needs to explore more. And here's what I'm talking about. Let's look at Peter and Mary Jane. Peter is like in Spider-Man 1, Peter's like, oh, I love Mary Jane so much. And Mary Jane's like, I think I like Peter, but I've got all these dreams and goals for a career. And that's pretty much how the whole thing went. Then we move on to Spider-Man 2, and Peter's like, I love Mary Jane so much. And Mary Jane's like, I think I love Peter, but I've got these dreams and all these big career problems. And then we move on to Spider-Man 3, and Peter's like, I love Mary Jane so much. And Mary Jane's like, I love Peter, but I've got all these dreams and career problems, and we're having relationship problems, and you should spend less time saving people off the street and more time having date nights with me. I mean, so we started getting these repetitive ruts. Also, another problem with the film, another reason I think it's good that they're rebooting the franchise, in essence, is Kirsten Dunst, who I have no problems with as an actress. Please don't get me wrong. But I think this was a classic case of miscasting. I don't think Kirsten Dunst was the right person, nor was she ever the right person, nor did she ever grow into the role of Mary Jane Watson. And I don't think we ever bought her as Mary Jane, really. But another sign of the creative depletion, if you will, of Sam Raimi from working on the Spider-Man franchise is we see other things just repeating themselves over and over and over again. We get to Spider-Man 1, and we got, I'm the Green Goblin. Deep down, I'm really a nice guy, but I got caught up in something of my own creation that is now manipulating me and forcing me to be a bad guy. Hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to kidnap Mary Jane, dangle her from a high place, and use that as a trap for Spider-Man. Well, then we move on to Spider-Man 2. I'm Doc Ock. I'm actually a really good guy, but I've got caught up in something of my own creation that's manipulating me and forcing me to be a bad guy. Hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to kidnap Mary Jane, dangle her from a high place as a trap for Spider-Man. Then we move on to Spider-Man 3. Hey, I'm Sandman. Deep down, I'm really a good-hearted guy, but I've got caught up in some circumstances of my own creation, and now I'm a bad guy. Hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to kidnap Mary Jane, dangle her from a high place as a trap for Spider-Man. As a matter of fact, in the previous films, they were even setting up another villain, Dr. Connors, who is Peter's university professor missing an arm. Well, everybody who reads the comic books knows that he becomes a lizard. But they were setting him up to be the exact same kind of villain. Hey, I'm the lizard. I'm actually a good guy. But something happened that is now forcing me to be a bad guy. And inevitably, I'm sure he would have kidnapped Mary Jane and dangled her from a high place as a trap for Spider-Man. Look, there are a lot of things that Spider-Man did right. Obviously, Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest comic book heroes, one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. The first Spider-Man is a fantastic one. Spider-Man 3 started to show wear and tear. But overall, it's that creative juices that made Spider-Man so good. And I think ultimately it's when those creative juices start to run out, which I think they would with any director who stays on one franchise for so long. Look at Star Wars with George Lucas or Indiana Jones with Lucas and Spielberg. I think people like Raimi need to stay creative and move on to new things. And I think moving on is the best thing for him, and I think is the best thing for Spider-Man. Look, you may disagree with my opinion, and that's totally cool. I'd love to hear your opinion and what you think of my thoughts, but those are my thoughts. I'm a fan of Spider-Man. I'm a fan of Sam Raimi's. But it was time for him to move on, and I think that's what was best for him and for the franchise. Anyway, I'm John Campea.
Sam, I'm curious, do you have any perspective on Spider-Man and the machinations lately that have been going on? We're getting yet another different iteration. I mean, did you watch the Mark Webb ones ever?
Oh yeah, I saw them both. They're great. And I'm really glad that Marvel's taking it to high school. I think that's going to be refreshing and just like my favorite of the Spider-Man comic books. And I have a lot of faith that They really know their stuff.
What aspect of that universe remains unexplored that you'd like to see, whether it's a villain or a character that hasn't come yet?
I'd like to go into his high school life and his relationships with Gwen Stacy.
Like Flash Thompson in there and all that.
I love Flash Thompson. Yeah, the drama of the difficulty of going through high school is so unique to a superhero. It's unique, and that's what Spider-Man's all about. So that they're going to explore that head on is very exciting.
I did a high school superhero movie called Sky High.
Oh, yeah.
Just ask your children about it. Oh, they'll go, oh, I know Coach Boomer. So I've played this game before.
Damon here with IGN News. If the Sam Raimi directed Spider-Man film starring Tobey Maguire had continued, we would have seen Vulture and Mysterio as the villains. Cinema Blend reports that illustrator Jeffrey Henderson has posted a number of concept art images on his website, revealing what might have been. In the concept art, we see Spidey escorting Mysterio through a police precinct where he gets unmasked. Underneath the mask is a very Bruce Campbell-looking face, which isn't all that surprising. Campbell and Raimi are good friends, and Campbell made cameo appearances in each of the first 3 Spider-Man films. IO9 spoke to Henderson about the images. He explained that the beginning of the film would feature a montage of C and D-list villains that we knew would never be used as main antagonists. Mysterio, the Shocker, the Prowler, the old-school onesie-wearing version of the Rhino, maybe even the Stilt Man, etc. At the time, it was reported John Malkovich would have played Vulture in the 4th film. It's worth noting, Vulture is expected to be the villain in the upcoming Marvel and Sony Spider-Man Homecoming. Michael Keaton is nearing a deal for an unspecified villain role. Stay up to date on the latest entertainment news by sticking with us here at IGN.
Up next, a behind-the-scenes look at Spider-Man 4, currently in production.
Spider-Man 4 is currently in production, and we've got an exciting, exclusive peek behind the scenes for you. You're about to see an exclusive, exciting look behind the scenes at Spider-Man 4.
So I think we're gonna set up the shot, and then this is gonna go that way.
Did you hear that?
I'm telling you, it's not going to pull that way.
You gotta pull the dolly back around when we call action on the truck, or we won't have a slack to swivel to the right.
I don't think you
yell at
understand
me. I'm
what
not the
trying
one
to
in
say.
charge of
I'm
this.
just saying it's just going to
Can
be
I please get someone down here from Unit Publicity right now?
What are we doing here?
Because the cops are telling me we pushed the roadblocks back.
Hey, excuse me, can we get all cameras off, please? Thank you.
I record the sounds of people reacting to the stuff they're gonna add in later. There's a guy called a background director, and he gets them to scream pretty loud. I also get people's footsteps.
Stay there. Hey, is Joe here? Joe, what are you doing, man? I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. You can't leave your post. Sorry.
Why can't we pull to the right?
There are cars parked to the right.
They're not in the shot.
You're gonna tell me what's in the shot?
I'm not trying to tell you what's in the shot.
I don't care
what's
Ask
in
him
the shot.
yourself or send someone down.
I'm not
Fucking
trying
come
to
on.
tell you.
No,
I'm telling
please
you.
tell me what's going on.
I'm telling
tell me
you
where the camera is and when.
Listen, I'm telling you, we can't pull that way, not without a second set of hands.
See, with a camera rig like this, it's big and it's heavy, but everything's still really fragile. If the track angle is too sharp, you're gonna hit a bump or a skid, and shot's gonna go out of focus. Whole setup is trashed. That's why you want to try to solve these problems before they get started.
Meanwhile, we got bigger things to worry about, like maybe running this with the actors who are waiting on set, and maybe getting another shot at some point today, and having to stop every single freaking second for a tiny little workaround.
You just don't get it. What you're asking me to do is like a fucking magic trick.
Yes, because he steps up on a fire hydrant before he jumps, and there's no fire hydrant. There's got to be one in the shot. Okay, hey!
Sorry, Jesus.
Yeah, just any shirt, size 16. Because a background showed up wearing bright red, and I think Sam wants us to focus on Peter Parker instead of the asshole dressed like a fucking candy apple.
I don't know, baby. Because the first AD's fucking 24-year-old nephew wants a job, and I'm technically just a day player even though I've been here for 10 weeks.
You wouldn't believe how many actors wear fake teeth.
Oh, these bikers are gonna be a fucking problem. Is this him?
Yep.
Listen, you guys have up to 65th Drive, not 65th Road. That's not right, it's Road.
I don't know.
Are you positive? I'm positive.
I don't know. They're cutting down New York TV left and right. I'm just calling everyone I can that I'm not getting another film crew this week. No way. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. All right. I'll bring home dinner.